the plan on this was I was going to foreclose. It was a vacant property, same kind of thing. I was going to foreclose and then take it to sale. Purchase price was 72,000, market value 165, and this is a mobile home. And as a general rule, I don't usually deal with mobile homes, and this is part of the reason why. I had dealt with a mobile home years ago, and I thought that I'd learned my lesson. I knew that I needed both the title of the land and of the actual property, because mobile home is mobile. So it's, oftentimes it's registered as a vehicle rather than a home.
Yeah.
So I knew I needed those two documents. And so as I was doing the due diligence on this, I saw that I had both of them. I'm like, okay, good. We're in the clear. I've done this before. Now I've learned my lesson, ready to go. This looked like, again, it was going to be another home run. What ended up happening is, as we went along, I was working with a local realtor who had given me the property value. And she came back to me and said, there's an issue with this. And I said, oh, really? Like what? What do you mean? And she says, well, you don't have the proper documentation to make it a real property. I'm like, no, I've got the two documents. I've got the title and the title. We're all good. It's everything's squared away. We're cool. She's like, well, in Nevada, there's another part where it needs to be registered a different way, or I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was a second part that hadn't been done. I'm like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I learned my lesson. In the end, I was able to sell it to another buyer. I sold the note off to another buyer, somebody who is local to Nevada, who understood all the rules for the special Nevada and mobile home rules. And overall, got a pretty nice profit, 20%, or sorry, $20,000, 27%. That's pretty good. And I'm fairly happy with the 27% return. This all took place in less than a year. So if you do that as an annualized, that's going to jump even more, but just plain or ROI, that's 27%. So part of this one, I think, was just recognizing my own shortcomings. I ignored both the state rules and my own rules. I had said, I'm not going to do any more mobile homes. And then this one came up and I'm like, yeah, but look at those numbers. That looks fantastic. And I already know what I'm doing. So we're all good. I'm going to do this. And luckily I was able to get out with a really decent return. But I think I lucked out on this one. So I count my lucky stars and move on to the next. But again, most of the deals that we do are going to be singles and doubles.
Yes.
So yes, we're going to show you some home runs, and they're awesome and they're fun, and we love it when that happens. But most of the time, same as you go to a baseball game, you're going to see singles and doubles. You don't see a ton of home runs.
And singles and doubles are okay. And the home runs are great stories. And like I said before, following your gurus are always okay. You're right. But getting single doubles, what this business is all about. If you're swinging for the fences, you're going to strike out. Or the balls get caught on that warning track, right? So a lot of problems can happen when you go for those big risky things. If I can get a single double all the time, I mean, you're gonna get your returns. You're gonna get around 10, 12%. I mean, it's not bad. Right. So if we get a little bit higher, it's even better, right? So when we get to 20s and 30s and 40s, that's really good return on an annual basis. Because think about this, if you're at all borrowing any kind of money at an interest rate of 8, 10, 12, and you're getting a 20%, that's great. Right. So think about it from that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's check out your double, Dave.
All right, we're going doubles. So a name is double in the corner. So if I'm sure you've watched baseball, you can hit a double right in the corner, you can get to second base. So we're on the what, right? This non-performer was owned. So Greg asked question, could you let us know how quick your turnaround on these was? Great question. I did not actually put it in here. I'll see if I can bring this up and we can add it to the other ones. But yeah, I appreciate your question, Greg. So the last one, he just said it was about less than a year. This one here was, I can bring it up too. I think it's just 18 months or so. I'll see if I can find it real quick for you guys so you can kind of see what it looks like or whatnot. So,
but really quick, that's a great point, because again, Notes are fantastic, and I love the business, and I'm going to
Yes.
do it forever. It's not get rich quick.
Yes.
Average turnaround time for me, and you can say yours, Dave, but average turnaround for me is about 13, 14 months. If I'm going to take
Yeah, it's
something
more than a
and
year.
resell it, it's more than a year. So
Yeah.
don't think you're going to make $1 million day one, month one.
So I was, as Nathan nicely kind of stalled me for a second, I was able to bring it up. So this next one,
Yeah.
we did in about, we have at 0.9 months. So that was 9 years. So that was just over 11 months. Right. So in 11 months, we went into the fact that this double here was actually the loan, the property was owned by an HOA, but the borrower defaulted. They were still subject to us, right? Because they were behind us in the situation. So we took over the non-performing loan and we had a foreclosure in first position, right? So when we looked at this stuff, we bought this knowing the fact that the HOA owned it. I had to foreclose on it because the borrower was still on the loan, right? They were renting it out, doing whatever they're going to do with it, knowing the fact that where we are. So this was in Florida. We then filed for foreclosure. And I added this one in here for some learning lessons. For those who may not know, and I'll explain in a second. What we did a foreclosure with non-merger language. What's that mean? Non-merger language means that the debt is removed from the instrument of security. So removing the mortgage and notes, separating them. Why did I do that? I can now foreclose, but then I can take ownership of the property at the same time, right? So I'm just foreclosing on the debt to get rid of the title problem on the property, but I'm actually owning the property during the process. So I'm foreclosing on myself pretty much, right? So I did the foreclosure while owning the property and rehabbing it, took the risk. We rehabbed the property. We bought this property. This was 2017, I think the date was for this one. So we bought it knowing the fact that the value of the property, our CMV on this one, was $50,000. The condo was vacant when we bought it, but we were going to rent it out. We're going to fix it up and do all that good stuff. Owned by the HOA, remember. So we had to get a deed in lieu from the HOA, pay them money, get the deed in lieu into our name so we can own it, so we can start doing rehab work on it. Now, any rehab work we do, we could lose everything on it at the auction. So our next line, we purchased it for $17,000, right? The unpaid balance is 84. We're in great shape. And the reason we bought it for 17 was based actually on the value of the property. We don't bid based on that, but the reason it's not higher based on UPB is because of the fact that the value is 50,000.
Yeah.
We did all this work and a lot of expenses, and we ended up selling it for $59,000. On the next line, it shows our rehab and our legal costs was $27,000. Our all in, including our purchase price, was $44,000 all in. Okay. But because we had to buy it from the HOA, we had to negotiate with them. We bought it for $3,000, a deed in lieu. They know they didn't have any kind of ground to stand on, and HOAs don't really want to play the real estate game. They just want to get their HOA money, right? So that was a really interesting part of it. So overall profit of this thing was $8,000. So we ended up selling it for $59,000, and we made a 17% return. Great situation. This happened in about, like I said, about 11 months. We were thinking about renting it. We sold it quick too. So we could have sold for a little bit more, but we wanted to get rid of it. This was just before some other stuff going on with some business stuff. So we wanted to get that kind of process going. We understood the fact that I didn't know what I didn't know. So I had to understand that the state rules also apply to the situation, not only to me, but I had to use the state rules of being able to do deed in lieu, also the non-merger language, right? And the fact that I'm terrible at rehabs. I hate them. I don't like them. My partner loves them, right? Yeah. So I would have sold this as is and probably lost money. But I recognize the fact that doing a bad job of what I am, I let the rehab situation take place. I let the non-merger language take place, own it, fix it up, and able to sell it because we're able to do it crunch time. So we learned some stuff. Same thing with Nathan's double. I took his words because we learned the same kind of concept here. That state rules of non-merger language is not nationwide. It's really just the specific locations in certain states. But also knowing the fact of rehabbing, even though it's not my back pocket, I would have sold it for less and sold it as is. It would have done a bad situation for this note. So we did rehab it. We spent $27,000 in rehab and legal costs. A lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, 17%. I mean, that's decent. That's that's a nice return.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So
we're going to see those more often.
We're rounding the bases. We're getting, for those who didn't watch the beginning of it, we did a Albert and Costello's bit in the beginning of who's on first. So we're rounding third base and we're getting to our big home runs. Go ahead, Nathan.
Getting there. Triples. I mean, yeah, and you get triples. They happen. This is a good one.